So good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here with me today. Let's begin with a small meditation practice. Let's get into a position that's most comfortable for you. I trust that you know your body. I trust that you know your mind well. So choose a position of your liking. Choose to leave your eyes open or close, whatever is helpful for concentration. And now I invite everyone to bring the attention to the breathing sensations. And in case breathing is not the best object of attention for you, feel free to choose any other part of the body to focus on. And again, this is an invitation. So you have the choice to engage and disengage. You will always have choice in this practice. So let's begin bringing the attention to the breath, focusing on the sensations that arise in your lungs, in your stomach, maybe in the nostril, and noticing the experience of breath. Noticing how each in-breath is followed by a small pause, a gap, and an out-breath, followed by another small pause, and back to in-breath, and pause, and out-breath. No need to control the breath. You're not regulating the breathing. Is simply noticing as the breath happens. And noticing the activity, the movement of in-breath. We are also noticing the non-activity of that pause. Very tiny millisecond. Nothing happens in that millisecond. And then there's an out breath. So being aware of the activity of in-breath and out-breath, at the same time being aware of the non-activity, non-movement, stillness of that pause. If mind wanders away, congratulations. Use this opportunity to bring the attention back to the breathing. with curiosity, I invite you to dive deeper into those pauses. What is really happening between the breaths? What's the nature of the gaps between breaths? What's the nature of this pause? How does it feel like? How does it look like? Simply inquiring the gaps between your breaths. For those who just joined us, we are simply sitting and concentrating on the breathing, and we are noticing the activity of breath and the gaps between the breaths. And we are inquiring the nature of these gaps. Similar to the gaps we notice between sounds. Just like each time you hear my voice, there's a sound followed by absence of sound, followed by another word or sentence. I invite you to inquire the nature of this gap, the absence of sounds. Where nothing is really happening. Pay attention to the stillness. It's like entering a dark room with a flashlight and focusing on several objects, books, tables and chairs, stuff, and then turning the flashlight towards an empty wall. No objects are there, nothing is happening. And now I invite you to turn the flashlight towards the bulb, the very bulb that's shining in the light. As we try, we realize that the beam of light always is outward. It cannot be turned around towards itself. It can only shine onto the objects. However, as it is shining on anything, its existence is known. Even though it cannot look at or shine at itself, it knows that I am shining. I exist. Just like your eyes can see all the objects, the sky, the mountains, the houses, the cars. You have never seen your eyes, but you know, there's a knowing that eyes are here. It's more than known. In everything that you see, the eyes are pre-existing, already present. I invite you to let go of attending anywhere. No need to pay attention. No need to focus anywhere. Let the attention relax. No direction. No control. No need to look for anything. Be as you are. Be who you are. You can open your eyes when you're ready and come back to the room. Please take your time. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I'm just curious if someone has any reflections or any questions after this practice. We can address them.
Nothing particularly esoteric. Having a cold makes it a bit difficult to have gaps in between the breathing.
Yes.
So I could not, I know what you were trying to drive at, but I could not observe. But then I tried to listen to your silences and then focus more on that. But the practicalities of breathing with a cold is challenging.
Thank you for letting us know. Makes sense. I have a cold also. So I'm glad the other sound and silence worked out. Anyone else has a reflection or a question or a comment? Yes, Jerry.
Mahip, when I do that practice, it's usually I change my breath pattern, because I'm noticing the space, and then I'll have a deeper breath, and I think, okay, so I just go back to the sensation, predominantly in the lower belly, and then I try it again. Okay, notice that gap, and then I start changing it. And just like, wow, I cannot just notice the gap and keep the normal rhythm.
Thank you for sharing, and really good noticing. And it's okay. It's okay with me that this is what was happening. And yeah, that's why there are so many approaches. If something's not working out, you try the other. At least I could offer two things here: sounds and also the gaps. Anyone else has any question or comment? Or I can dive into another kind of activity. Just checking one more time. Yes.
I find this particular form of meditation very calming, and it allows my mind to kind of disappear into different crevasses and follow paths. And then after a while, I can bring it back to my breath. But I find that concentrating on my breathing is extremely relaxing. At one moment, at one point in my in this particular meditation, I suddenly found myself, of all places, driving up the 405 freeway in Los Angeles, near Los Angeles International Airport, and all I saw in front of me were red taillights. This strange perception that just sort of surfaced out of nowhere. It's just sharing that with you.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm glad it's calming. It was helpful. And then thank you for sharing that imagery that happened.
I don't know that the 405 freeway is ever calming, but for some reason that came up to mind.
Sounds good. Okay, I don't know. Now I feel I was going to do something. Now I just feel drawn to take on this. Like, is it okay if I use your example, Alex, the imagery?
Of course.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you.
Sure. So I want to point out how, even though Alex is sitting here, the mind created a entire world, like in LA, a road, traffic, like cars, like everything was there. And the mind also created another Alex driving the car. So in that tiny imagination, the Alex who is sitting here meditating was, let's say, was the whole world. And the Alex who was driving in the car thought as if I'm driving, I'm this person, small person inside the car. However, in reality, the reality of that imagination is the car was Alex's mind. The road was Alex's mind. The small person, Alex sitting in the car, was also Alex's mind. The road, the sky, traffic, everything was made of one mind. How the mind has this ability to localize who and make us think that we are that person. However, when you come out of it, you realize that none of that was actually true. Is this making sense? And I want to build on like what similar things happen in the dream when we are dreaming. Our body's on the bed asleep, and our mind creates this whole wide world. And then when we wake up, all we realize is like all the characters in that dream, the people we were talking to, people we were maybe have a conflict with, or people we were having fun with, every single person was nothing but the mind. Every object, the sky, the mountains, the rivers, animals, trees, everything was nothing but one mind. In that dream, the person that we think we are, who's roaming around and talking to people, we feel as if we are that person, and we see the world through those eyes. And what we are seeing, the world, the sky, and everything is also the same mind. Is this making sense? I'm just playing with what mind does. Anyone is having any questions or any comments?
So are you saying that we have a concept of ourselves, and that when we see this, we're seeing our concept of ourselves, our image of ourselves doing this? Like we've created identity and a concept?
Yes. So what we think we are, I'm using the word think, is always a concept. Whether it's in a dream or in this waking world, what I think I am is always going to be a concept. Like I say I am a guy from India. So a guy is a concept. India is a concept, like Indian nationality is a concept.
So we're seeing the image of what our concept is. If we're seeing someone driving on the foot, or seeing ourselves driving on the 405, that's the image that we're having of the concept that we have of our. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that only apply to when we are actually in the image itself? Because you can, for instance, if you have flashbacks, you may not actually be in the picture itself, but you may be experiencing something that you experienced in the past that you observe as opposed to be participating in.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And
I think that what I don't ever see myself in my
Hmm.
images. I see what is being projected to me, what I'm seeing in my mind's eye in front of me. I don't actually see myself.
Okay.
In
Okay.
fact, I can't think of an instance where, for example, I might have been looking in a mirror at an image of myself in that circumstance.
Makes sense.
I think that the danger one might have is eventually being able to distinguish the images from reality. Like, for example, am I really here participating in this meditation today, or is this just a projection in my mind?
Hmm. Really good question. And thank you for sharing that you don't see yourself. So I agree. I want to reframe. In a dream or in those kind of situations, we are experiencing the world. We are not looking at ourselves as a character separately. We experience ourselves as the character and driving, and we see the car and everything. However, the feeling is so strong that I am that person driving, even though it's not true. The feeling makes us, especially in the dream, if it's a dream when you're driving on this highway, feeling is so strong that I am driving on this road and I am this person. And when we wake up, that feeling goes away. And I want to use a metaphor and kind of try to shift our discussion, because to make it more to simplify this. So I think I learned this from Shinzen Yang. He uses these thread analogies. He uses the white colored thread as awareness and a red colored thread as the mind. And the mind is always moving. It's so fast. There's so much activity, high frequency. So when the red and white thread are together, they start moving really fast. And when they're moving so fast, what we see is a pink color thread. And this pink color thread is the personal sense of self, the ego, if you want to say. And we believe ourselves to be this pink thread most of the time. And the moment when I ask you, and this is the activity I was hoping to engage in for the rest of our time, when I ask you, who are you, or who is thinking right now, who is trying to understand the simple questions, who is sitting here, right, or who is curious, like right now, and maybe there is some anxiety. So in someone, let's say, who is fearing, and so can you locate that in yourself? Who are you? When I ask you these questions, and then the objective is when we look intensely for who I am. If I can use my example, who am I? Or let's say I can pick a desire. There's a desire in my mind that this concept that I'm speaking of must get across. This desire is saying, like, I wish all these people understand what I'm saying. So I ask, who is desiring? Who is feeling this need to be understood? And then I'm looking, I'm trying to locate that me or I. And I cannot find that I. Just like in that pink color thread, when I start looking for where is this ego, where is this me, I look at that thread very intensely, and then the mind starts to slow down, starts moving so fast, it stops moving. And then I see that the pink color was never even there. It was appearing as pink, but this pink color thread that I thought I was never actually there in the first place. And then comes a sense of like relief or a sense of worry. Where is that? Anything can come after that. But the point is, when you look for yourself, you do not find that I, that me, the one who is desiring, or the one
Is
who's
that the
needing.
ego when you say the I and me? So that
Mhm.
the pink is, so when we get quiet and we look, the
Mhm.
ego is, it can disappear, but it's the ego that's the driving force of that pink thread or whatever you're talking about.
So I'll say it again, a red color thread and a white thread. Imagine these two threads are in my hand.
Mhm.
I'm moving them very fast. And when I move them, what I see is a pink color thread, what starts appearing to be.
And
This
what are
pink,
the two? Have you identified the two different?
the red is the mind,
Mhm.
and the white thread is the awareness.
And so there's no ego. The mind and the awareness are not. Where does that ego then come in?
It comes in when when the mind is moving so fast, we get lost in the activity, in thinking, in planning, in worrying, and we forget that the one who is, and we start believing this pink thread.
Pink thread. Okay, thank you. That's the
Could
pink
be.
thread. Okay.
Yes.
But really, we just have the mind and we have the awareness. Okay.
Again, it's a metaphor. I'm not offering that you have to believe.
I just wanted to understand
Yes.
what the metaphor
Yes.
was, so I can, thank
Yes.
you. I mean,
Sure.
how it connects to me, or
Sure.
I know a lot through ego. That's my background, but I see awareness and mind. And then our concept of ourselves, for me, is the pink
Mm.
thread. When the mind starts going so fast, we get the pink going, and that becomes our what's driving us a lot of the time, for me. With me.
Mm.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So the pink thread is who we are, the essence of us. The mind and the awareness combined is essentially who we are. Correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
So the pink thread is the ego who we think we are. And again, instead of trying to go into concepts, is it okay if I ask you all back? That will be much more effective. So let's say I can ask Alex, I can ask Kelly.
So the pink thread's who we think we are. The white thread and the awareness. There's the mind, there's awareness, and then when the mind goes so fast,
Mhm.
we lose that sense of awareness and we become who we think we are. And that drives us. Okay, I'll stop talking.
No, let me ask you back. Who is trying to understand? If I ask, like,
Pink
right?
thread. Pink thread.
Okay. Okay. Can you find that pink thread in yourself? Can you locate? Like, there's a window behind you. I think there's a lamp. You can see, oh, that's the lamp. That's the window. That's a curtain. You know, we can locate. I'm asking, can you find that pink, that personal self? Can you locate it? Where is that?
No,
No,
but
I
I don't
don't.
know how you function without it. I mean, maybe masters do. They function with two separate, red and white. I don't know.
Don't worry about the red, white. Just
No,
look
I
for the
don't. I
pink.
don't think you can, because if you put it the way you did, the minute you start becoming aware of looking for yourself, looking for the pink,
Mhm.
then you slow down the red, and the
Mhm.
pink will disappear because the mind has slowed down. So you are aware of the fact that you are not an ego.
Okay.
Am I on the right path here or something?
Sounds good to me.
Lock me up now and throw away the key, please.
Who, Alex, who is desiring that? who desires to be locked up.
Well, I don't know. I'm just joking, but I, a sense of self comes to mind. The ego and somehow is equated with a sense of self, and so once one understands that and achieves that, where do you go from there?
Yes. So the thing is, understanding, first of all, it's not an achievement. Once, but I know to use the language, once you do not find that I, now what? Now we look for, or now we, in those tiny moments when we try to look for the I pink thread and there's nothing there, then in that tiny moment there's something there. I know I'm saying something, but it's not a thing. There's just beingness. There's the presence is there. The one who is aware is there.
Is it like a revelation?
Yeah, you can say that. You can say now, after we discover that the person we think we are, we look again and again. Again, this is a practice. I'm asking who is desiring or who is fearing. Like, these are two simple questions you ask and look for that I. And when you practice it every day and you do not find it, and each time you do not find it is a revelation. There are going to be many, and I'm sure you are all long-term practitioners, and whenever there are points in life when that person we believed ourselves to be was not even there, that moment has come many times for people. But now the next step is to know who we really are. So first step is to look for this pink thread and realizing it's not even there. And the next step is, now who am I really? If not this feeling, if not this thought, why they dissolve or this pink thread disappears? Because it's usually a thought process. It's usually a feeling. And then all feelings are temporary. All thoughts are temporary. All physical body sensations are temporary. They're changing. All ideas are temporary. Now, what is permanent is that presence. And that's when we, just like when we use a sentence, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm tired, I'm angry, I am traveling, I am sitting, any sentence, just remove the feelings and activities from the sentence. There's always this I am. You're always referring to this I. I'm saying that I am feeling is permanent. Again, it can be confusing with the one you think you are, but I'm pointing towards the one who you really are. That I. Now, next step is to understand its nature and to abide in that nature. That awareness that we are is constantly present. This feeling or thought or sensation might come and go. The space of awareness in which they're arising, that never changes. And that is who you are. Feelings and thoughts and sensations and memories and ideas, they come up, they're subject to time and change. They are limited. However, the awareness, the spacious awareness in which they arise, is boundless, timeless. Just like the space in this room, the furniture can be changed, the objects can be changed, the subject, the one who is aware, the space is always the same. Is this making sense?
I'm gonna be silly about, so like, in other words, this space will always be here. If I move out of this place that I'm in, take all my stuff, this space will still be. I mean, I guess that's kind of like awareness, like it's always there. Thought can come in, can go, but the space will always be there.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
The person, the furniture, the walls, they all can change. They will change, but the space that is untouched
Mhm.
is always here. And another curious thing is, like, the space in the room is touching everything. This mic, this wire, the laptop, this shirt, the glasses, the empty space is touching all of these things. And you can experiment with your own room. The empty space is touching everything, every object, every thread of that carpet you are sitting on, or everything. But none of them is actually touching the empty space in the room.
But some might also argue that there is no such thing as empty space. If you take it
Yes.
to a molecular level,
Yes,
there's
yes.
different
Let
shapes,
me,
forms.
thank you. Yes, let me address that right away. Very good argument. Why is it, we can say that it's nothing? How? Because it has no objective qualities. Now, what I mean by objective qualities is, this is made of wood, red color. It's tall, it's cylindrical. This is a rectangle, like every quality that we usually use to describe an object. Take anything in the whole world. Pick up any subject. We are always studying objects. Even psychology, we start studying the emotions and thoughts. This is one thing when we are studying the subject. In an object-subject relationship, a usual common example I have is the eyes. The eyes is the subject, and every object you're looking at is the object. The eyes can always look at the object. The eyes can never look at itself. The eyes can never see themselves, because eyes is the one seeing. So that's why eyes is the subject. Now, empty space is a metaphor to point towards awareness. Awareness, that is our absolute real nature, is the ultimate subject. Therefore, we can never formulate a definition. We cannot formulate a study like this is what it is. We can never come to that conclusion, because it's not an object. It will never be an object of study, and never be an object of attention. Does that make sense? However, the amazing thing is, we know we cannot know it like an object, but it is more than know. Why I say that? Every object that you see, those eyes are there. Nobody can come and tell you, you do not have eyes, you're blind. If someone says that to you, you will not believe that person for a second, because you have evidence, a different kind of evidence. You don't have an objective evidence, you have the subject. Like, in every single object that you have seen many thousands of days you have lived, every single thing that you have seen, even though you have never seen your eyes, you have seen those things through your eyes. Therefore, you have a solid confidence. You're really confident about knowing that I have eyes. I am these eyes. Similarly, every experience, whether anger, frustration, anxiety, happiness, sadness, joy, or euphoria, or travel, your memory, everything that we experience, awareness is the eye of that experience. So in knowing anything, you're knowing the awareness. In seeing anything, you know that eyes are here. Is this making sense?
Yes, but it comes to mind. What comes to mind is when people see different people see, for example, a traffic accident, and each person has their own image in their mind of what they saw, and they're not always necessarily the same. So what the eyes are an extension of the brain, and what the eyes are absorbing is then interpreted by the brain, and it's not necessarily the same for every person. In the case of, oh yes, I saw that man, he was wearing a red hat, and the next person says, oh, he wasn't wearing a hat at all.
Yes.
Oh,
yes, I know, I understand, and eyes I'm using as a metaphor. So it's not a perfect metaphor. It's a metaphor. That's why it's a but my only intention is to point towards the awareness, because I cannot talk about, let me say it in a different way. Everything that I have said so far about the awareness, or each time I refer to the awareness using these words, I'm doing injustice. I'm putting it in a box. So, and I think I've done this before, like I cannot hold empty space with my hand. Limited tool, this hand is limited tool, and I'm trying to grasp empty space. It is bound to fail. However, I know the empty space when I am in deep knowledge of myself. I know the silence when I know who I am. Because now when I know who I am, I know I'm infinite, I'm unlimited. And then knowing the silence, knowing the emptiness is in my reach. But most of the time I'm identified with my mind, and I'm thinking and planning and worrying, so that my mind can only look at these objects. When I look through my mind's eye, I'll only see small things. When I am who I am, when I'm identified with my awareness, then I don't have any words. I mean, there's nothing to say. Then I am. And everything that I'll say will do injustice.
I guess my big question is, this sounds like this is comforting to know this, but living in this place, it seems like a big challenge to be able to live in this place and function in this world. But coming back to that place would be comforting. That's what meditation is helping us to do.
Yes. So I want to say, like, that questioning that I'm offering, who is desiring, who is fearing, like, again, the moment you start questioning, you find yourself in that place naturally. Sometimes it won't happen, but it's kind of easy to get here. Like right now, I can ask, who is trying to get into this place? And you look for that who, and you don't find it. It's not even there. And the moment you don't find it, you are here. So that awareness that you are is already present. You don't have to like achieve it. You don't have to get there. You are that. And it's like when we start practicing meditation, I know this is like a direct path. It's not usual meditation like Vipassana. We are progressive paths. We make these things, we do these things, meditate for hours and hours, and we hoping that we'll get there. This is, you are there. You just see who you are, look for really who you are, and you are that already. So it's so direct. And the more you question this way, and it's like the more the mind gets to stay in this absorbed awareness place. It's like when you go for a vacation somewhere and you like it and you stay there for a weekend and you're like, wow, this is amazing. And I want to, next time you go there for a whole week, and then next time you want to go there, let's go there for a whole month. And then by the time, like, why am I going there for this, like 2 months, a year or so? And then I just want to move in. So I'm inviting you to move in to yourself. And no thoughts are needed to get there. Thoughts and beliefs, ideas are actually barriers. Any more questions or reflections?
What you said about the path before, the white and the red path and so on, it really reminds me, if we sometimes are in roads or different roads we have to go into different roles, like to be a good mother or sister or whatever, or teacher, or whatever. And on a certain point you notice that isn't all, and yes, and then when this role falls apart, then you realize that you are none of these roles. That doesn't really, or they don't really fit, or who you really are, and it is really like a stone is fallen from your shoulders. So
Yes.
it's really comforting sometimes, and
Mhm.
it's a really good metaphor, I think.
Mhm. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, that's so true, and it is so liberating. We don't have to carry these roles, these characters that we think we are. One last question before we end, or okay. Well, thank you so much for joining, everyone, and I had a wonderful time. And I'm also doing Thursday evening 6:30 p.m. groups. They are like, we have made them hybrid. So if you are interested and available, the information is on the website, 6:30 p.m. on Thursdays. Have a really nice Sunday, and I'll send the recording for this meeting.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mahip.